Detective Brian Ridge of the West Memphis Police Department. Currently in the West Memphis Police Department with Buddy Sidney Lucas. Okay, Buddy, you're aware that we're tape recording our conversation?
Yes, sir.
And you're aware of the VCR camcorder in the corner also taping the
Yes,
conversation, correct? Okay, do you have any problem with that?
No, sir.
Okay. Buddy, I have in front of me a write sheet. Today's date is 10/14/93 and the time is 1:28 p.m. In front of me I have a write sheet. It's a standard sheet with headings for the City of West Memphis Police Department. And it's your rights. It's got your name, Buddy Sidney Lucas, your birth date 4/15/74. As an education, you're a high school graduate. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Place, the CID office, today's date and the time. We are informing you that we are Detective Bill Durham. This is Bill Durham that's here in the office with us. And I'm Detective Brian Ridge, police officers of the West Memphis Police Department, conducting an investigation for the offense of capital murder, which was committed on or about May the 5th of 1993. Before we ask you any questions, you must know and understand your legal rights. Therefore, we warn and advise you that you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, those are your initials on that line in front of that. Okay, anything you say can be used against you in court. Do you understand that? And those are your initials again. Right. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions and to have him with you during questioning. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning if you wish, at no cost to you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Those are your initials.
Yes, sir.
If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you will still have the right to stop answering at any time. Understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, at the bottom of the form, it's a waiver of rights. I have read this statement of my rights, and I understand what my rights are. I am willing to make a statement and answer questions. I do not want a lawyer at this time. I understand and know what I am doing. No promises or threats have been made to me, and no pressure or force has been used against me. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's signed by you. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Buddy Lucas. Witnessed by Bill Durham and all witnesses at this time. Okay. What I need you to do is to recall back to this date that this capital murder occurred on, which is May the 5th of this year. Okay. What happened on that day?
That day I didn't see it, but that night we had a barbecue.
All right. You say we had a barbecue.
Me, my mom, my cousin Mary, my brother, my little sister.
Okay. Rex, what is his last name?
Heath.
Rex Heath. Your brother's name?
Calvin Lucas.
How old is he?
He's 11.
Okay. And your sister?
Brandy, Michelle, Hudson.
How old is she?
She turns 3 Sunday.
Okay. And you're having a barbecue at your house in Lakeshore? Okay. And your mother is Mary Lucas, is that right? Okay. And what happens after the barbecue?
We decided to take Jesse and some chicken.
Okay.
Everything. So me and my cousin Rex went over and took him some chicken and everything. I asked him, I said, where's little Jesse? And everything. Big Jesse said that he went walking that way and everything, and he looked out the door and he was walking off with somebody else.
Okay. Which way are you describing?
Towards West Memphis.
Okay. And Jesse
That
was
was
walking
out
away.
Highlands Trailer Park.
Okay. Jesse and somebody that little Big Jesse didn't know? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And okay, what happens right after that?
So that we stayed there and talked to him for a while. And everything. Then me and Rex, we decided we're gonna leave. We're gonna go back home and everything.
Okay.
We went home. We had us some supper and everything.
Okay. What time was it when you got home?
It was around 9.
Okay. And you went in and ate some barbecue, or you ate? What did you eat for
I ate
supper that
barbecue
night?
chicken.
Okay. Did you leave some with Jesse Senior?
Son.
Some barbecue? Did you leave some at Jesse's house for him to eat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And
Or left some for our
anything else happened that night? Did you get a phone call or anything like that
No,
from
sir.
Jesse?
No, sir.
Okay.
So, turn around. that next day I went over there. I figured that he'd be home by now.
To Jesse's house. What time was it you went to Jesse's house?
It was that morning.
Right after daylight, middle of the morning?
It was daylight.
Okay, give me an approximate time.
I say 9.
About 9 o'clock? Middle of the morning. Okay.
So, I went there and everything. I knocked on the door about 3 or 4 times. He was still in bed. So, I got ready to leave. He opened the door.
Okay, was Big Jesse there?
No, sir. He was at work.
Okay.
So, I was going to go in. And Jesse's mom and was down here on the porch. And with talk and everything. Just talk.
He didn't want you to leave.
Sir.
He didn't want you to leave right then. He wanted to talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything.
So, what was the conversation?
Well, we just been talking about some of his friends, my friends, and other stuff that's going on. He started breaking out in sweat and everything. At that time, I didn't know he had anything to do with these kids.
Tell me just that conversation, what happened in that conversation?
We was talking about going over Bobby Dollar's wife's house to get my hair cut, because she cut little hair now and then. So I went over there. I said, let's go over there and see about getting her to cut my hair. Went over there, she cut my hair, and he sat there and played Nintendo with her little boys. And everything, because he cleaned up her house, watching her kids for us. So, we left, we went back to his house. I told him, I said, man, thanks for going over Bobby's wife with me. And everything, get my hair cut. I won't holler at you later. He said, no, man, I gotta tell you something. And he was breaking out in sweat.
You said something about his eyes when we talked earlier. What was it about his eyes?
They had water treated from.
He'd been crying?
Yeah, something like that.
That's just what you thought? Did he tell you he'd been crying?
No.
Okay. So, what happened when he says he has to tell you something?
So we sat there, and he said, man, me, Jason, Daniel, we were walking last night in town, West Memphis. I said, when do y'all come by and get me? They said, well, we was in a hurricane, son. Go up there and come on back home. And I said, I understand. Now, since I found out, I'm kind of glad he didn't come by and get me.
What did he tell you he did?
He told me that he got into a fight. That's what he told me at first.
Okay.
I said, David and Jason hit you? Yeah. Okay, so I said, well, did y'all hurt anybody? He said, yeah. I didn't think it was anybody young kids. So I turned around and trying to find out that he was with Jason and Daniel when they sacrificed the little kids. And I was going to come and tell y'all. And he said, no, I'll do it.
So he tells you he will come to the police.
And all right, that weekend, I came back over to my mom's and everything. I read about it in the paper and everything. And I find out he did front himself that he did do it. Because he told me he would.
Did you call him when you read the thing in the paper? Did you call Jesse or talk to him again?
Because he was already locked up when I heard about it on the paper.
Okay.
Because it had the picture on the front page.
Okay. Thursday morning, after this Wednesday, you went to his house. He tells you he's in some trouble. Is that what he told you? And what did he tell you he was in trouble over?
That he said, we heard a couple of boys that Jason and Daniel killed.
Okay.
I said, well, was you involved? He said, yeah. I said, what did you do? I finally got it talked out of him. What did he do? He said, I hit a couple of them back to head.
Okay.
Trying to keep him from running and everything.
That's what he told you?
Yes, sir.
And this is on Thursday morning? Okay.
The 10 shoes he gave me.
Did he give you some shoes on that Thursday morning?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and describe to me how he gave you those shoes.
He picked them up and started to hand them to me. And all of a sudden, he dropped them. He broke out in sweat and crying and everything else. He said, "Man, take your shoes. I don't want to send them more." I said, "You sure?" And I don't remember seeing the shoes at his house. I said, "Are they yours?" He said, "Yeah." So he said, "Take them. I don't want to send them more." I said, "You sure you want me to take them?" He said, "Yeah." And everything. So wasn't nothing on the shoes.
Lieutenant Mark, you have a call in your office.
Everything. So turn around. I got the shoes and I went home.
Okay. Well, after you got the shoes, what did he say exactly to you about those shoes?
That he didn't want to see them anymore.
Okay.
He didn't want to have nothing to do with them shoes.
That's what he told you. Okay. Do you have those shoes?
They up there while I live in there. I give them to you as soon as I get there.
That's in Earl. Okay. Describe those shoes for me.
They're white and got black soles on them.
Okay.
And I think they're Converse. I'm not for sure. Like I told you, not for sure.
Okay. And those shoes that he gave you, have you worn them since then?
A couple times.
And what were you doing when you wore them?
I wore them at Riceville.
Okay. So those 2 times you've worn them, you've had them pretty wet and muddy. Has anybody else worn them?
Well, Robert, he got them on now.
He has them on?
Yeah, he asked me this morning if he wanted to. Like, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't think them shoes had nothing to do with it.
Okay. But those are the shoes that Jesse gave you the day after the murders occurred in West Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he had told you that day, on that Thursday morning, that he and who had gone to West Memphis?
Daniel and Jason.
Okay. Did he tell you where they went?
No, sir.
He didn't tell you that. Okay. He told you he was in some trouble.
Yes, sir.
And did he say who he was in trouble with?
No.
But later on during the conversation, he tells you that he's going to tell the police what happened. Okay. Then, now it's almost a month before he gets arrested. You realize that?
I know.
Okay. During that month, did you talk to him again and asked him why he didn't tell the police?
No.
You didn't talk to him again.
And I went back. I didn't go back over my mom's because we was in the middle of harvesting that and trying to get our crops out, and I didn't have time.
Okay. So you didn't come to the police either. Why did you not come to the police?
I was afraid that y'all would lock me up for it, and I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Then he said he would do it, and I was going to wait to see when he do it. If he didn't, then I was going to tell y'all that he did it.
But then about a month later, he did tell the police about it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You've known Jesse for a long time.
About a year.
Okay. You know when Jesse tells a lie and when he's telling the truth.
Yes, sir.
When he was telling you these things that had happened on that Wednesday before, on this Thursday, did you believe what he was telling you to be true?
Yeah, I could see it in his eyes.
You knew he was telling you the truth. So you've known him long enough to know when he's lying and when he's telling the truth.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else about any conversations you've had with Jesse? Have you talked to him when he was in jail?
No, sir.
Have you talked to his father or anybody like that
No,
since
sir.
he's been in jail?
No, sir.
Okay. Those shoes, we'll pick them up in a little while. You're going to take us to where they are. That's right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to request and ask your permission. I'm not forcing you, but will you permit us to get your fingerprints, footprints, hair samples?
Yes, sir.
You won't have any problem with that.
No, sir.
All right, I'm gonna, Officer Jerem, will you go get a consent to search form? And I'll fill it out. We'll write in.
Anything that hit y'all.
Okay.
Y'all, I felt so good. I told you.
Okay. Well, it's been a long time before you came forward with this information. Were you just scared of us, or scared you were hurting Jesse? What were you scared
The
of?
reason I didn't come there before he told y'all everything, because I was afraid if I did, that he would have somebody hurt me.
You were afraid Jesse would have somebody to hurt you?
Yes, sir. You know a lot of people that I don't know.
Okay.
I'm afraid that he would have somebody to hurt me and everything.
Did you know Jason?
I've talked to him a couple of times. But that's-
Damien, did you know him?
Not ever since he picked me up off the ground, I looked at him. I mean, I got scared of him.
You're scared of Damien? Did you know that they had any part or any dealings in a satanic cult-like group?
I knew Damon and Jason did because they looked like the type person with Jesse. I did swear. I sworn in. It shocked me.
Okay.
I mean, you know, Mom, that day I heard about it, I came up over where she worked at, tears out of mine in her eyes. Oh, she told me, she said it'd be alright.
Yeah.
Everything.
Okay.
But the reason I didn't tell y'all before he did, because I was afraid he had somebody hurt me.
Okay. So you're living away from here in Earl now, is that right?
Yes, sir. But I'm not
And-
trying to run. No.
Okay. What is the address over there where you live?
I don't know.
Okay. The address where we came and picked you up is Earl Rural Route, I believe it's Route 1, possibly Route 2, but the box number is 581. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is the man's name that you're staying with?
Freddie Wilson.
Freddie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And who are you working for now?
I work for Jim.
It's a farm.
So, I'm not going to forget his last name.
I have in front of me a consent to search form. And what I'm going to do is today's date, 10/14/93, time at 1:44 p.m. West Memphis Police Department. Buddy Sidney Lucas.
I mean, I feel so good now that I talk to him.
You're going to authorize, having been informed of my constitutional right not to have a search made of the premises hereinafter mentioned without a search warrant, or of my right to refuse to consent to such a search. In other words, you don't have to let us have any of these samples. You don't have to let us search anywhere. You're volunteering to give us this information, these samples. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hereby authorize, I'm Detective Brian Ridge.
Well, I ain't got nothing to hold back.
Okay.
I'll let y'all do it.
And Detective Bill Durham.
I just don't want to draw it.
Okay. Of the West Memphis Police Department to conduct a complete search of my premises. I'm going to strike out premises right here, and I'm going to say body. Because what we're needing from you is your fingerprints, your hair, and I'm not certain right now, but I'm going to say your body. We may want a blood sample. Have you ever had blood drawn? You've been in the hospital before, so you have. Do you have any problem with that? We get a doctor to do it. You don't have any problem with giving us blood sample too?
I mean, I don't like the needles.
Okay. But if we need it, you'd be willing to give it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If y'all need it, I will.
And you're located now at the West Memphis Police Department?
Like I said, I ain't got nothing to hold back.
Yeah. The officers are authorized by me to take from my premises. I'm going to put a slant line right here and put body. Any papers, materials, or other property which they may desire. And I'm going to write in here, including a pair of tennis shoes, hair samples, fingerprints, footprints.
Y'all ain't gonna draw blood today, are you?
If we did, it would do it at the hospital. I'm gonna have to find out, but I'm gonna include it. Okay. And blood sample. This written permission is being given by me to the above named officers voluntarily and without threats or promises of any kind. Is that all? We're not threatening. So, okay. I need you to sign right there on that line. I'll witness it. And ask Detective Durham to witness it also. And in this remarks part of this, the only thing we're looking for is evidence concerning this case. Okay. I'm going to put in remarks on this form our case number, which is 93050666. That's the case number that's assigned to this case. Okay. That's the only thing we're concerned with.
Will we sign it during the class?
Yeah. Sign right there to show that I added that
Right
one
here?
portion right here. Okay. At this point, Officer Durham, can you think of anything else I need to include in this interview?
Have you talked to anyone else about the conversation that you had with Jesse Miskelly?
What's that?
Do you know if Jesse Miskelly has had conversation with anyone else to your knowledge concerning these murders?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll conclude this interview at this point. The time right now is 1:49 p.m. That'll conclude this portion of the interview. I'm going to leave everything running right now, and I'm going to ask you, are you going to consent to a polygraph examination in a few minutes, if it's a need be?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand what that polygraph examination is?
Well, what is polygraph?
It's a lie detector. It's, in other words, he'll hook you up to a machine, and he'll ask you a series of questions, and then it will say whether or not you're telling the truth. You don't have any problem with taking the polygraph test? Okay. We'll take care of that later. I just want to make sure I got it on tape, but I separated this part of this conversation from the rest of the tape by handing the time a second ago. Okay. So again, I'm going to conclude this interview. The time is 1:50 p.m.